Merry Christmas, everybody. Or Buddhamas. There's a lot of Merry Buddhamas stuff happening as well in our monasteries around the world. And there's a number of reflections we could bring up around Christmas. And of course, giving, dana, is the main reflection. And the Buddha was known to say, if you know as I do the fruits and the benefits of generosity, you wouldn't let a single opportunity go by. Wouldn't let a single opportunity to be generous to go by. So we learn how to share things by stages, and we can also recollect the story of the stingiest man in Savatthi from the one of the Buddhist stories that we have, where he actually had a lot. He had a lot of money, and he had a family, he had a wife and children, but he was so stingy that he wouldn't give even to his own family. So he became famed for his stinginess. So the Buddha hears about this, and somebody goes to him and says, there's this man who's incredibly stingy, never gives alms food, doesn't even give to his own family, and they suffer because of this. And so I guess the way it goes is a friend of this man takes him to the Buddha and says, can you teach him how to be generous? And even the man who is stingy says, I'm incredibly stingy and I don't know how to get out of it. And he can't, there's something blocking him from doing any sort of giving. He's an absolute miser, just has to kind of collect his wealth away. He can't use it for really anything. So nobody's benefiting from it. And so this is where the Buddha famously says, okay, well, why don't you take a lump of rice and in your left hand, and then your left hand offers it to your right hand. So he goes back, and this is his exercise. He has to take a lump of rice and have this mind that, okay, I'm going to offer this lump of rice from my left hand to my right hand. And he can't do it at first. There's still that block there, but then eventually he's able to force himself to offer that rice from his left hand to his right hand. And he goes back to the Buddha and says, I did it. My left hand offered something to my right hand. And the Buddha says, okay, well now offer the rice from your left hand to your right hand, and then offer it to one of your family members. And so he at first can't do that, but then he's able to finally make a breakthrough and offer this lump of rice to one of his family members. And then it goes on like that he's able to then offer one lump of rice as alms food, and then try to increase it. And so increasing by stages, training himself by stages, then he becomes one of the most generous people in Savatthi, and his family is happy, and he becomes a great patron of the Sangha, and he lives happily ever after. So we can actually train in generosity by stages. We can give a little bit at first, but then we can actually give more and more. And it's not just material things, but then we learn how to give more of our time, more attention to things like the practice. We learn how to make an offering of our practice through things like the verses of sharing an aspiration, the sharing of merit. So we even share that. And sometimes we get the question, well, if you share the merit, are you not keeping any for yourself? But the sharing of merit, the intention is to not keep it for yourself, but actually it ends up, the karmic result is it multiplies. It's a multiplication of merit. So when we want happiness for others, we want to give and share to others. And so that sharing of merit, so somebody who, say, the Arhat would be doing this all the time as a natural way of being, the sharing of merit would be happening all the time. So we learn how to train in this by stages, and giving and sharing, and then the result belongs to the giver. So the one who gives is the one who gets the result of that. This is so much different from, I remember being a young boy and looking forward to Christmas, and then getting the video games or whatever that I wanted. But then it's just a very temporary, fleeting happiness, a very low form of happiness, and then not really realizing what my parents went through, having to work and buy those gifts, and then them giving those gifts, and myself like not being able to, not showing gratitude, just kind of wanting to get, me. And so I'm very grateful to have been able to train by stages to learn how to be more generous over time. And it's so much more gratifying. Actually, there's no comparison. And even we've been on the theme of Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche a bit. He was known to say that he's actually quoting Shantideva, who was actually a Theravada monk in Nalanda, believe it or not. And it was any happiness in this world comes from thinking of others, comes from giving and sharing. And any misery in the world comes from trying to get only for oneself. So with that reflection, then we can give more and more. And our level of happiness is really going to be proportionate to how much we give. That's just how it works. Leave that for reflection this morning.